Hello everyone and welcome to Leonora AstroTarot. Thank you so much for joining me today for another reading. I really am very glad that you decided to stop by. My channel is still pretty new, so I really do appreciate all the clicks and the likes and subscribes and things like that. That really helps me to grow. But today we're going to do like a nice little reading all about your strengths and talents. So perhaps these are things that you are already aware of, that you are already working with, perhaps they're more like hidden talents. If you're at a moment in time where you're not quite sure what your strengths are, what your sort of skills are, what you're good at, perhaps this might offer you some insight into things that maybe you don't realize you have going for you. So that is the intention of this reading. So there is 5 groups today. Group number 1 is the orange calcite. Group number 2 here is the pink tourmaline. Number 3 is the lapis lazuli. Number 4 is the red calcite, and number 5 is the quartz here. So yeah, as ever, just go with the group that's pinging you. Yeah, with 5 groups, of course, you're more than welcome to pick more than one. There's probably messages and insights there in different groups if that's how you feel. Of course, if you're struggling to pick, then maybe pause the video and come back a bit later in a different mind space, and then you may be drawn to whichever pile is meant for you, right? So yeah, I will leave you for a moment to pick your pile, and I will see you in your reading. Hello, pile 1, and welcome. You picked the orange calcite, and today we're asking all about your strengths and talents. So what do you have hidden up your sleeve? What are your kind of your unique selling points, the special gifts that you have to share with the world? That's what we want to know. We're looking for any insight, any guidance around what it is that you have to offer, these special gifts, special talents. Yeah, so pile 1, let's have a look at your cards. These are of course general readings, so take only what feels like it's meant for you and leave the rest. We have lotus, we have the circle, nice. We have the cat. We have the Lady of Pentacles, we have the 7 of Swords, we have the Queen of Pentacles. Interesting, so these are the same, the Lady and the Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles in different decks. We have the Ace of Trees, and we have the Composer. Lovely. Okay, let's get into this, pile 1. The circle is at the head of your read here. You know what I'm feeling straight away, pile 1, is whether or not you have a big circle or like sort of a big inner circle, or you have a lot of people around you, something like that. You are good with people, which doesn't mean that you are a people person. You may or may not be. Some of you may be more introverted than others, but you know how to engage with people as individuals. So I think that you have strong social skills, but you employ them one-to-one, more so than necessarily being someone that knows how to network or navigate a group. It's not like that. You know how to engage with people individually, and to do that basically with anyone, which is an incredible skill. Whoever it is that you're engaging with, pile 1, you make them feel seen and heard. You make them feel like, for the moment that you are conversing with them, making eye contact with them, you make them feel like they matter. Some of you may work as teachers, that's coming through, and particularly of teachers of young children. And if that is the case, you are incredible, pile 1, at influencing people in a very positive way, in making other people feel important, that they themselves have gifts and things to offer. This is an incredible gift that you have to see what is special and unique and particular in each individual. So of course not all of you will be teachers, but this is an incredible and special thing you have. It's like, I don't know if you guys heard of mirror neurons, right? It's sort of the part of our brain that kind of adapts to different situations. If you're someone that easily picks up accents, Pile 1, then it's because you are very, very receptive to your environment, and you are subconsciously sort of altering yourself to make the person you're speaking to comfortable. You're essentially highly empathetic. Yes, but it's like whoever it is that you're speaking to, you are genuinely interested in them, and when people sort of walk away from you, they feel, maybe not everyone all the time, because we can't always be on at our best, right? But I just feel like for you, Pile 1, like, you make other people feel good in this very, like, it's not like you're a flatterer or a kind of sycophant type person. No, it's so much more subtle and compassionate than that, Pile 1. You know how to make other people feel as if they matter. So that is coming across as your most, well, not your most, because I think you have much more than one special gift and talent and strength here, but this is one of your significant strengths, certainly in the eyes of the world, and I think this may mean more to other people than you could ever realize, Pile 1. How much you give in small ways, right? And even if you're just having a very brief encounter with people, they feel like you attempt to see beyond the surfaces, beyond the superficial, and also to empathize and understand, and attempt to understand where people are coming from. I really admire this, Pile 1, like, whoever you are that picked this pile, that's incredible. So we have the lotus here, which is a lovely symbol, right? I think you are someone that, I think whether you would consider yourself a half glass full or an optimistic person would depend on the day, right, Pile 1? However, you do have a gift for seeing the beauty in things. And I do think that people that really do see the beauty in things do so because they understand darkness and they understand the shadow side of things. They recognize beauty because they understand the absence of beauty. I do think people around you, for instance, if you're someone that will point out a particularly beautiful flower on a busy street, or you will pause to notice a lovely sunset or something like that, you doing this, it makes other people take notice of things. You notice the small things, but they're not even small, really. Like, the sunset is not a small thing, but it happens every day. And how often do we really register it unless it's sort of particularly wild and impressive, right? You're someone that notices the small things, and particularly the small instances of beauty. And other people notice this, and they can't help but also then notice the beauty around them too. Again, this is an extraordinary gift and talent, because it sort of shapes the way that other people see things in this very beautiful way that you may not realize. Pile 1, so the cat, speak your truth, have strength, faith, and conviction in your voice. It has never been more needed. Again, I mean, you may be someone that quite easily speaks what you think, Pile 1, but I'm getting quite a more inward vibe from you, those of you that were drawn from your pile, that you don't say everything you think. What I'm feeling more about this speak your truth is that you allow people to say, you encourage it. People feel like they can really speak their truth to you. It's more like people feel like they can give you the honest version of things. If there's things that they concealed, people around you might have concealed because they are afraid that people won't understand or won't be compassionate. There's something about you that makes people feel like they can confide in you, and that you will give them very honest, very authentic, very considered advice. I think for many people this is the case. They see you as this very glowing light, that they know that they don't have to pretend around you, pretend to be who they're not, put on a show. They know that they can be their authentic self, but there's also this sense of, you have wisdom that not everybody has. You have insight, you have perspective that not everyone has, Pile 1. So people will come to you and feel like they can be authentically who they are, or if there's things, for instance, that they're upset about, or things that they're ashamed of, and all of these uncomfortable emotions that we usually like to hide. other people feel quite comfortable with telling you, Pile 1. So yeah, an amazing gift. I'm drawn again to these flowers. There's something, some of you may be gifted in terms of, you may have just like a connection to nature, to the natural world, to things like gardening or just caring for things, ecological issues, things like that, food, growing food, all of those things may be something that you're really connected to, cultivating things basically. Some of you may also be very readers. You love to read, you may love to write, and these are gifts that you have that you may or may not have invested a lot of time in, but you are somebody that, yeah, is very connected to the written word in some way. Your gift, you have a gift. Also, I think some of you are excellent cooks. Yeah, if you do have a strong relationship with food and just sort of nurturing. Again, it's coming through so strongly to me that you make people feel seen as they are. People feel like they don't have to hide from you, that you're very, very accepting and also non-judgmental. This is an incredible gift that I personally respect enormously in people, when people do not judge, when they sort of are able to see the nuance in our lives, right? And our lives are complicated and we all make mistakes. So I dislike it when people rush to judgment, which they often do, right? What are your special hidden your strengths and talents? You know what's important in life. Pile 1, you have like a very strong sense of priorities. Like, you know what's like worth bothering with or worth paying attention to, and what isn't. And you have a very strong moral compass, I believe. You may be, someone that actually doesn't speak their mind. Well, I think that I'm sure that you can, and obviously people want to hear what you have to say on it, but it's like you're very careful with your words and you're very careful where you weigh in. You are an excellent mediator, I believe. Someone that's very good at kind of being that person that helps other people resolve their conflicts. But you're also not afraid to speak up on your values, and I think you have a strong sense of right or wrong. So you're unafraid to use your voice in certain ways if you feel like you are protecting the vulnerable. I think that's something that is very important to you. And also just to clear communication. With the Seven of Swords, things can be, again, hidden, or people's motives can be concealed. And I think that's something that's really important to you, that things are out in the open, that things are spoken on, things like that. So the Lady of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles are, the same energy, right, that we have here. So that's a very strong, of course, Pile 1. You don't have to be female, but you may well be a Earth sign. You may be a Capricorn, a Virgo, or a Taurus, or you may have those signs very strongly in your chart. So you're very earthy. You're very grounded. I think people perceive you as being very grounded. People perceive you, I think, as being very peaceful in general, and being very kind of almost self-contained. I think a lot of people envy this about you, Pile 1, that you are so sort of you have a strong sense of self-worth, which is a very Taurian thing. I think you're also a very interesting kind of dinner guest. Like, people you do know how to have fun, and people, I think, like to have you around. People like your company. I think you have a very funny side, a very entertaining side, but you're also just like really, really good at relaxing, I think. Whatever's going on behind the scenes when you're in company, I think you like to relax, but also you're very good at making other people feel relaxed, or people feel relaxed in your company, which you may or may not realize. It's like as soon as you walk in the room, for some people experience sort of a release of tension because they know that there's someone there that is present, that is comforting, or just someone that they don't have to worry about saying the wrong thing to. There's that thing about you, Pile 1. It's like people feel like they can just be themselves with you and be at ease with you, and this is an incredible strength. I mean, you sound wonderful, whoever you are, Pile 1. The Ace of Trees. Again, like there are things here that draw my mind to sort of nature, to things like just like cultivation. There may be something that you're working on currently, Pile 1, that may have to do with issues like this. Either way, it has to do with the nurturing of something, which is a very earthy, very Taurian thing, right? To nurture, to grow. you have high ideals and ambitions. This Ace of Trees, yeah, it's like, and there may, yeah. So you know, as you as you watch this reading, there may be something on your mind in terms of a new venture or project. And I want to just give you a vote of confidence here that whatever it is that you want to pursue, Pile 1, you have all the skills and all the talent and all the strengths that you need to do it. I think you are someone that's very driven and very inspired and has high ideals. I think you're very, very willing to fight for those ideas, and I think people really recognize, admire, and just sort of respect that about you. Now, if there is something on your mind, something that you want to do, a risk, just something a little new for you, I just want to say the energy is really on your side. This almost looks like a rocket launch, something. The sky is the limit for you at the moment. The energy around you, Pole 1. So yeah, know that your skills, your strengths, your talents are really ready to take you wherever you want to go. I think you are very self-aware and very you understand what you have to offer, and you know what your value is. So yeah, Pole 1, we have the Composer here. Amazing. I mean, of course, I love this card. Let's look at this card because I just love it. Love this deck. Of course, the Composer, you might be a musician. You may have musical talent. You may be skilled in that way. You may be a good singer. Now, if you are a Taurus, and there is a strong Taurus vibe that is coming, that is coming through here. Taurus is kind of known for their voices, so you may be a singer, or you may just have an excellent speaking voice. Now, if this is something that you're interested in doing, using your voice, speak your truth here, the voice. For instance, if you're interested in doing like a podcast or something like that, there's a lot of podcasts around. There may be some kind of passion that you have that you want to speak on. There's this a project that you are cultivating. Know that this is a strength and talent of yours, and know that you can achieve a lot by pursuing this. The Composer, yeah. I mean, the Composer also, of course, guides others. So I was getting a kind of teacher vibe, but if there's something that you're doing that requires also getting sort of a collective of people to kind of work in tandem and work together and kind of pool the resources, you do have strong leadership skills, Pile 1. You are someone that people will look to be, this kind of mediator vibe, or you're very good at sort of bringing people together and making the individuals within the group all feel equally seen and understood. What an amazing read, Pile 1. You seem like an incredible group of people. So yeah, it was a pleasure to read for you. I wish you the best of luck with all your current endeavors, and yeah, I hope to read for you again soon. Take care. Bye. Pile 2, welcome. You picked the pink Tourmaline, and today we're asking all about your strengths and talents. We want to know what you have up your sleeve, because maybe you don't realize, maybe you have some particularly lovely gifts to share that you haven't really explored yet. So we want to know what they are, Pile 2. So of course, these are general readings. Take only what makes sense for you and leave what doesn't. It was obviously meant for someone else. But yeah, Pile 2, let's have a look what you have. We have the Spring. We have the Ancient Ones. We have, Raven, Wise Woman. Nice. We have, Temperance in reverse. We have the Spirit of Pentacles. Interesting. We have the Three of Swords. We have the Three of Embers, and we have the Bridge. Nice. Okay, so Pile 2, what are your strengths and talents? Let's get into this. We have the Spring. Right away, what I'm getting from this card, Pile 2, is creativity. Springtime is all about sort of the reemergence and things sort of coming back to life, right? You may be somebody that has had to kind of reinvent themselves quite a lot throughout their life, and sort of you've had to sort of come back around or pick yourself up after setbacks or whatever it is, but you're also very highly creative. I feel those of you that pick this pile 2, there's so much green here, but there's just a breath of fresh air. I mean, that's what spring is, right? That you're a breath of fresh air to people. There's something quite unexpected about you, pile 2. There is an unpredictable element to your presence. Maybe there's something a little mysterious about you, but you have an incredible skill to reinvent yourself. But there's I'm getting just something about people, but you really provoke people's curiosity, pile 2. Like, people are very, very curious about you. I can't say this is a skill or a talent, but of course they may be very curious about your creativity. Whatever you apply your creativity to, whether you're an artist of some kind, there's many, many ways that we can be creative in life, of course. Whatever it is that you do, that too is very regenerative. You may be very much kind of on the curve. There may be something just like quite innovative about what you do, and that people sort of are really interested in respect, and you're obviously very, very skilled at what you do. Whether or not you've had success professionally with your creativity, there's certainly the potential there is strong, if it hasn't already sort of materialized, right? So we have the ancient ones. You have a talent. You have a talent for seeing beyond the veil, pile 2. You have a talent of seeing, God, I want to say almost through time. There's something about time here. Like, you have a talent for understanding timelines and understanding sort of consequences of things. There's a loud siren there. I'll just give it a moment so it doesn't disrupt my train of thought. You have a talent of perspective, and you don't realize, perhaps, pile 2, how exceptional this is or how unusual. Perhaps I'm telling you things that you already know, but maybe you don't quite realize what a gift this is that you have and how unusual it is. You have a gift of perspective, and you're someone that I think understands. For instance, if there's some kind of conflict situation, if somebody is suffering, if the world is suffering in some way, you're able to look at the larger picture, but also the consequences of why. You're able to understand cycles of things rather than just the symptoms of problems. So really, you just have an extraordinary perspective. It's like you're an old soul, pile 2. I think people really notice this about you, although there is definitely a sort of mystery about you. But you're able to see the bigger picture, but you're also able to see sort of the root of problems and also likely outcomes. So it's almost like you can sort of see outside of time or anything. This is very mystical. As if you're this very, very old person that's looking back over their life. So you may in fact be very young, pile 2, but you're able to see beyond the limitations of the immediate moment. This may be something that you already acknowledge. It may be somewhat hidden, or you may be, because this is all kind of supernatural, right? So it may be something that you've sensed and you haven't explored it. Others of you may be very well aware that you have a kind of sort of psychic ability. You may or may not have explored it, but those of you that pick pile 2, I think it is there. So it may be a gift, yes, that is sort of waiting for you to kind of really embrace it and do what you want with it, right? Because we also have the Raven, wise woman, a change is coming. You have the incredible skill and talent of converting experience to wisdom. I think some of this wisdom is very deep, that you are, yes, an old soul. This wisdom is sort of gifted to you throughout your experiences. You don't know, I think, pile 2s, or maybe you do, I don't know, just how extraordinary this ability is to sort of just see beyond the surfaces. I think you have access just to a well of higher knowledge, and perhaps you've only just touched the surface of that. It's available there if you want to open those doors. Maybe some of you have, maybe some of you have just sort of like opened those doors ajar. Those that knowledge is there for you if you want to tap into it. A change is coming. Yeah, so with the spring card, that was also speaking to reinvention. And I think you have reinvented yourself many times and felt like you sort of had to, perhaps. But I think you have the ability to do that, to essentially transform. You don't get attached to things so easily as perhaps other people do. You're not able to fool yourself that there is any real permanency, and that itself is a gift. You understand that everything is transient, everything is passing, so you don't get too attached, which doesn't mean that you don't love, and it doesn't mean that you sort of like certain circumstances, or you like having your, a nice place to live and all of that, but you have a deeper understanding that nothing is forever. And so you're willing to kind of almost live on your toes a little bit. This is, again, is a gift. It's a gift. It's a skill. It's an incredible skill of understanding that everything here is temporary. Again, I think it's an old soul thing. So you have a soft grip on certain things around you because, you understand that we can't become too reliant on outward circumstances, right? We have the Temperance card in reverse here. So yeah, in reverse, of course. I think this is speaking to me again of the ability to reinvent and change. Like, it's almost like, so the Temperance card in reverse almost speaks of like complete imbalance, right? But for me, it's almost like this, you have this ability and skill of almost finding your feet in chaos. So it's like you might be swept up into a storm, but you're able to connect to something deeper than, it's like, okay, I don't need the ground. I don't need the ground. I will connect to, I will anchor myself in some other way. So the world may be spinning around you, but you're able to hold on to something that is very internal, if that makes sense. You're able to, I think you have survived a lot, pile 2, but you're just able almost to find a certain ease and comfort with the unexpected, with chaos, with things. You may not enjoy it, of course, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you have a talent for, or you have a skill, the ability to almost find an inner stillness when everything around you is changing and chaotic. We have the Spirit of Pentacles here. I'm not entirely sure like what this card is in terms of like the traditional deck. It's the way this tree roots are sort of so broad, it makes me think that you also have this ability to kind of find a home anywhere. And also, yeah, you may also find a home nowhere. Like, you may be someone that perhaps, yes, doesn't need traditional things to make you feel secure. And that, too, maybe it's disruptive at times, but it's also a skill. It's also a skill that you have, is that you can kind of go anywhere and find a home. You can connect with different kinds of people. You're able to connect with the world at large in a very indiscriminate way. I think you perhaps consider the world at large to be your home. And that's amazing. Like, you can just show up somewhere and just feel like there's a part of you that belongs there, which doesn't mean that you sort of expect like everyone to speak your language. It's not like that. You just have a very wonderful broad-mindedness, which is, again, it's not so much a skill or a talent, but it's something that is so kind of exceptional about you, that you just can be very there's something very connected about you. And it's not like really like as in like well connected or networked, like maybe you are, but it's deeper than that. Like, you're connected to life and you're connected to the world. 3 of Swords, I mean, this is an interesting card, of course, to come up when we're talking about skills and talents, but I would say the way this person is, you know what this is, the way that she's sort of there in a kind of fetal position. So you have a skill, pile 2, of sort of I don't want to say self-care. I think that's become a little overused at this point. It's more like you have the ability to be there for yourself and hold yourself, almost cradle yourself through pain. You are very self-reliant. I think you've been through a lot. I think the life has thrown a lot at you, but you have an incredible skill of taking care of yourself in a deep way, in an emotional sense of being there for yourself, of showing up for yourself. You may be thinking, not always, sure, but if other people perhaps were thrown the same things that you were, Paltu, I'd be interested to see how they survive. You are a survivor, I feel like, Paltu. You are somebody that is able to endure a lot of chaos and a lot of change, but you are able to also feel your feelings and almost nurse yourself through periods of suffering, which I think is amazing. Like, you don't disconnect or check out on yourself in moments of extreme fear or pain. You sort of sit with yourself, and yes, maybe not every time. You're only human, Paltu, although you do seem like a very special sort of human. You're in the trenches with yourself, basically, is what I want to say. So we have the Three of Embers. I do think that you are you're not one that to really run with the crowd, is what I'm feeling. Pile 2, you're very much sort of have your own ideas about life. There's something very individualistic about you. You have a talent, I think, for being independent minded, for thinking very originally. I think you're a very original thinker. You think what you think. You may at times sort of, if everyone else is reading a book, like, sure, if you have a good recommendation, then maybe you'll read it, but you're very interested in discovering your own sense of knowledge, right? You want to know that your thoughts are your own, but that originality in thinking is an incredible talent. It really draws people to you, and people want to know what you have to say. I think this is both, yes, it has to do with knowledge and thinking in a conventional sense, but there's also this very wise energy here. You have higher kinds of knowing, right? And I think it's almost like you couldn't access that if you were kind of just doing what everyone else was doing. You have a talent also for your own company, for being alone. So there was a lot of creativity coming through initially. So you're probably very good at just the kind of creative endeavors that a person needs to be alone in, right? So perhaps writing, painting, just there's something solitary about you. There's something about your ability to think for yourself that feeds into your creativity and creates very, very original things. There's a lot of originality around you because you're tuning out. You have the ability to tune out the world and tune into your deeper self and your thoughts and your feelings and your responses and go with them and trust them. Now, not everyone is able to do that. Many people need to have other people sort of okay things, right? That isn't you, Paul, too. You are very much an original. So we have the bridge here. And you know what I think this is? We established here that you are, a wise person, male or female, whatever, it doesn't matter, but you have access to a sort of deeper or higher knowledge, Pile 2, and a skill and a talent that you have is bridging all of that, sort of the intangible, the mystical stuff, the spiritual knowledge to the concrete world. This is an extraordinary ability you have. Now, it doesn't mean that this isn't, like, this is not an easy thing to do, to be this bridge, right? The world can be very cynical. The world can be very cruel. You are interested in spreading a different kind of knowledge and compassion and empathy and all of those things. And there's a talent here, a skill. If you haven't already cultivated this, then I do think this speaks to something, a gift that you have. If you're willing to start opening those doors, perhaps, Paul, too, if you haven't already, into those deeper parts of yourself, becoming a bridge between, the world as it is down here, right? And all of this mystical brightness that you can see in this card, right? There's a silhouette here on the end of this bridge. This is a gift, Paul, too, to be able to translate kind of things that are beyond language, things that are beyond, clear classification, like to find a way in creativity and certainly artistic creativity, but not only that, right? There are different ways that these things can be conveyed. whatever that is for you, Pile 2, this is a gift. This is a gift and a special talent and strength and skill that you have, if you haven't already tapped into it, is becoming this bridge and bringing this divine, beautiful knowledge into this, at times pretty crazy, at times kind of cold and depressing kind of world. I mean, it's a matter of perception, right? But I think you have this talent of shifting perception through maybe creativity, art, but just something about you, the way you think and your originality. It's just absolutely amazing. So again, just like another wonderful pile here, Pile 2. Was a pleasure to read for you. And I look forward to reading for you the next time. Take care. Bye, Pile 2. Pile 3, my Lapis Lazulis. Welcome to your reading. Very happy to have you here. Today we are asking all about your strengths and talents. We want to know, what are these sort of special gifts that you have? Maybe they are hidden talents. Maybe you haven't tapped into them yet. Or maybe you sorry, there's a siren disrupting me. It's very loud at the moment. But of course these are general readings. So please, Pile 3, only take what feels like it's meant for you. Otherwise, leave it behind. Yeah, let's have a look what you got, Pile 3. We have the Ram. Wow. We have the Vision Quest. Nice. We have Dolphin. We have the 4 of Pentacles, the 9 of Swords. We have the 10 of Pentacles and the Mender and the Maze. Okay, Pile 3, let's get into it. What are your strengths and talents? Well, the Ram. The Ram, of course, is very kind of Capricorn-like symbol, so immediately this is making me think of endurance, the ability to work incredibly hard and there's something very determined about this. Like, I think this redness too it's very you have a lot of passion, Pile 3. Like, you're very passionate, maybe about different things. You have a lot of energy. I think, Pile 3, those of you that pick this pile, some of you may be fire signs, if you're not a Capricorn, so Capricorn's coming through to me, but yeah, maybe a bit of Aries thrown in there too. Aries, Leo, maybe Sagittarius, but like, you have all this fire and passion and like zest and love of life. Like, there's something very like intensely like I'm struggling to put it into words. You're just like, it's just like pure passion, but you're able to channel it in a very positive way, or this is a skill you have. So maybe if you feel like this sounds like me, but I don't feel like I channel this energy very well, know that you do have that skill if you cultivate it. There's just something very high energy about you, or there's just, you're very passionate, but I think that you do have a skill of turning your passion into action, which not everyone has. It's like some people are sort of, it's like if there's a cause that you're getting behind, Pile 3, like you'll channel all of this kind of inner desire, and you'll get something done, and you will put the work in. So whatever it is, and maybe you're someone that has numerous things on the go, Pile 3, like maybe you have a lot of passions, but you are really able to take that energy and make something of it. Like, you're able to actually make things happen. Not everyone has the follow through. That's the thing. A lot of people have a lot of ideas, a lot of inspiration and imagination, things like this, but they don't have the capacity to make it real because they don't put the work in. But you do, Pile 3. Like, you are very hardworking, and you understand that desire and passion, all of that, like, vision, your vision essentially needs to be backed up by effort. But you're able to do that. The Vision Quest, what an amazing card. Yeah, it's like this person is on fire with something, with life. I think you're somebody that's very, very connected to life, and I don't think you, Pile 3, I don't know if maybe you realize the extent to which, like, it's as if you're someone, Pile 3, that really feels things. It's like there's no filter between you and the outside world. Some of you may be very highly sensitive. Like, you feel everything. and sometimes perhaps that's painful and overwhelming, but at other times it's like, yes, but you feel everything. Like you're willing to let life move you in particular directions. You're willing to let life sort of carry you like this kind of wind in the direction of your love and passion. That, yeah, there's something like the very just sort of like, maybe you don't feel this way every day, Paul 3, but I do think that you have a love of life that's actually quite unusual, and maybe you don't know that, and maybe you don't consider this a skill, but just the way you are. But it's an attribute you have that just translates as a kind of talent, because you're able to see the potential, the possibility, you're able to see the best in things. Maybe not every day, sure, but the ability you have to let your passion and imagination carry you. And I do think you are very visionary. I do think that you are somebody that is able to think ahead. There's a little bit of an Aquarian vibe here too, in that you're able to envision things that haven't happened yet, or the ideal way a thing could be to make things better, to make the world better. But you're someone, for instance, if you're brainstorming and you put down a bunch of ideas, and some of them people might like raise their eyebrow at and think like that's not realistic, but you're the sort of person that could make that thing happen. Like you're someone that would be like, well, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, Dolphin, Atlantis, healing wisdom is servicing, stop and listen. I do think that you have a talent, pile 3, for also, this was true also in pile 1, that you have the ability to bring people together towards a common goal. So there is something very visionary about you that inspires others and makes them want to work on your behalf to achieve something. It's like there's something some of you may also have a talent for working with your body. So that may be dance, it may be something athletic, a sport of some kind. It may also be performance art. It may be, yes, you may be an actor or something like that. You may be very skilled with just the ways that you use your body. And for some of you, I don't know, but perhaps there's something collaborative about that you may teach certain things. There's just something that whatever you do well, you're able to share it with others. And there's something kind of almost like choral about that. There's, for some of you, it may be like, I don't know, I'm like imagining like a dance troupe or something, but where everybody's kind of in synchronicity. Like you're able to create a kind of synchronicity between people. That's a skill you have, and it has something to do with the way you physically show up in the world that connects your passion to like a something. You're able to kind of embody your passion, basically, and that's very inspiring, but it also gives people the permission to do it, and you're just able to translate this in a way that it connects with others. I hope that makes sense. Pile 3, let's move on to this 4 of Pentacles. You know what I'm getting here for some reason is generosity, and 4 of Pentacles is actually kind of usually the opposite of that. 4 of Pentacles, I was just looking at the image, I wasn't looking at, usually 4 of Pentacles holds on to things and is a bit of a miser and won't really give things away. But there is, like, you know when to invest in things and when not to, pile 3. Like, you know when to give of yourself and when to hold back. You're very, very willing to be giving and generous to select people, and you perhaps have a skill in knowing when you can help and when your help isn't needed, or you know when you have something to offer that could make something better. But you are someone, I think, that is very, very generous with when you believe that generosity and that help is going to aid others. Like, you're very able to give. Again, there's something about, there's an ability to convey something. So you could be a teacher of some kind, but it's like you have this ability to give something of your passion or something of this kind of energetic zest, to give it away, something like that. The 9 of Swords, yeah. I think you, pile 3, what I'm getting here with this 9 of Swords, because 9 of Swords, of course, is a card that speaks of anxiety and fear. I think you have a skill, and I don't know whether that you could really, this is a skill, but it's something like you're able to, what is that song, Dance Away? Dance Away. I really can't sing, so I shouldn't, but like, Dance Away the Heartbreak. It's not, I wanted to say sort of, you're able to sort of put on it's not put on a happy face, it's not like that. There's something more to this. It's like, you're almost able to channel your anxiety or your fears or your pain into creativity or into passion. Like, you're able to sort of what is the word I'm looking for? God, I got a blank. Sort of sublimate, yeah, kind of, you're able to sort of take pain and sort of turn it around and allow it to propel you in a very positive way. I do think that you do struggle privately. Like, there's this very I mean, we all do, of course, but like, there's this very, very energetic and zestful energy to you. But for some of you, I think you also harbor, some of you may struggle with mental illness of various kinds, or you've just been through some tough periods. But it's almost like you do have an ability to just kind of alchemize your pain, and particularly if those of you, if you do suffer from mental illness, that it's something that you have to manage day on day. It's like that also, you're able to use certain things as fuel and kind of, just like sublimate those things and make them work for you. Like, actually take all parts of yourself and make that, it's not like you're wanting to put your pain in a corner and not look at it or save it as a personal thing. You may have, in fact, even if you are a creative person, or there's something about, you may have almost used your suffering, or there's something about, like, perhaps you're someone that has written about your pain, or you have expressed your pain in some kind of very creative way, or you're able to, whether it's your pain or it's just suffering in general, suffering around you, or it's just circumstances or certain ideas, or fighting for sort of, social justice issues, things like that. You're able to take pain of some kind and turn it around into something really, really generative and sort of magnificent, basically. Yeah, the 10 of Pentacles. Again, this is really, really coming through. There's something to do with the body here. You have a skill with using your body. You have a skill with embodying your passion and your essence. Some of you may do things like body work or massage, and that's amazing. You're very good at it, or you have the potential to be very, very skilled in terms of helping other people heal their bodies. So you could be healers of different kinds, but like, heal their bodies, feel nourished. Some of you may be nutritionists, things like that, but you're able to interpret these things in a way that people can take that knowledge and really, really improve their lives and their relationships with their own bodies. You may have been through battles with your own bodies at a certain point. Maybe that's still a battle, but you're very much good at sort of, you're very connected to your body one way or the other, but you have some kind of skill that helps other people also be connected to their bodies in a very, very positive way. The mender, so you could be a healer. Some of you could be healers, or working, even in healthcare, alternative healthcare, anything like that. But you're able to, take pain and convert it into something life-giving. Like that, the mender, like, you're a natural healer. You're able to you're just able to put things back together again. You're able to connect people to who they really are. And again, there's something, you're embodying certain ideals, and this is just like a huge skill of yours that's coming through, is that you're able to embody things. So if you're someone that's been through a lot, you've had certain setbacks, or perhaps you've had certain health issues, mental or physical health, something like that. There's something about the way that you have overcome that, or simply the way that you deal with it, that is extremely inspiring and very healing to others, but yeah, it's almost like there's something about you that sort of just the way you are, or people learn by watching you do things that helps them then mend themselves. Yeah. So the maze. The maze. This is interesting. Your skills and talents. I think you have a kind of talent pile 3 for sort of, this is funny. this is funny, and it's kind of a little bit more trivial than what I was what I have been saying, but it's a kind of skill is that you're able to, you have this kind of knowledge about like where there's certain energy. It's like you can almost seek out energy, like good energy, or fun. I do think you're very fun. you know how to have a good time, but there's something here about like, you know, where, not where the party is, it's not like that, but it's like I think people want to be close to you. There's a spark around you, there's so much passion around you, but you're able to generate passion. And there's something about places here, there's something about going to places and being able to know where, maybe you just know where the place is to go that night, but I think it's deeper than that. It's about the ability to kind of sense and source out a kind of a sparkiness, or you're able to draw a kind of, generate a sort of positivity around you, but also just to seek it out, to almost sense it. Like you have a kind of nose for good things, good times, things like that. Like, yeah, it's interesting. This is such a high energy pile. Like even my doing this reading for you, pile 3, just sort of makes, it's like giving me a kind of pep. So you seem like a pile 3s, you Lapis Lazulis. I think you're very, very vibrant people, and it was a pleasure to read for you today. So I look forward to reading for you again sometime. Bye. Pile 4, welcome to your reading. You picked the red calcite, and today we're asking all about your strengths and your talents. So what are your special gifts, and what are you really good at? And are there hidden talents, or the things that perhaps you haven't tapped into yet, or there are things that there are potentials, or we want to know for. Of course, this is a general reading, so take what feels like it's for you. Otherwise, leave it. It was meant for someone else, but just, of course, always go with your intuition. So we have bloom, we have the medicine wheel, we have horse, we have the 9 of cups, we have the 2 of pentacles, we have the Knight of cups, we have death, and we have the 4 of embers. Interesting. Okay, so bloom. What are your strengths and talents, pile 4? I do think that you're someone that is able to, I think you, pile 4s, I think you are very, very intuitive and in tune with your environment. You're very good at reading the energy around you, sometimes a little too good, a little too well. Because you're sort of like, you have these very kind of pronounced antennas for picking up sort of information. So at times it's one of those things, I guess, depending on how you look at it and depending on the day, it can feel more like a curse than a gift. But you're very intuitive. I think the word bloom here, it's like some of you may have fully bloomed into this skill and able to see it more of a strength, and others may be sort of struggling with this blooming period and really embracing these parts of yourself. Perhaps sometimes you just feel so overwhelmed and self-protective because you pick up so much information from your environment. Some of you may be Pisces, Cancer, things like that, just like very, very it's hard for you to tune out other people's emotions, other people's energy, and really tune in with your own. So I'm getting the sense with this pile that some of you are just sort of a little more at this point where you're struggling to know how to turn this, what feels perhaps a little bit like a curse, into a gift. And perhaps at times you sort of go within because you don't perhaps know how to interpret some of the things that you're experiencing, Pile 4. Perhaps it's just quite intense a lot of the time. The medicine wheel. You may feel much more connected to animals than you do to people, Pile 4. You may be a cat person. You just may love animals in general. You may notice animals that other people don't. For instance, like birds. Just like you notice, and perhaps you know the names of things that people don't, the names of particular birds, just different sorts of creatures. But you may have been like this as a child, almost as if you could communicate with sort of animals. You may have also as a child had a lot of very vivid, almost supernatural experiences, which again, you may not think of this as a talent or a skill. Pile 4, which is understandable. These may have been scary experiences, but I'm almost feeling, Pile 4, like you are somebody that this door between sort of the world as we know it and the sort of, whether you call it the spirit world, you know, the higher realms, whatever, it's quite thin for you. And you may not have always known how to deal with it. You may not have always wanted this to be here, but it is a gift. It is a gift. You have an intuition and a sort of a compassion for things, but I am strongly getting this sense with you, Pile 4, that you struggle with people. It's as if you would rather just sort of live perhaps with animals and just tune everyone else out. Sometimes that you don't know how to talk to people. You may feel like you don't have a gift or a skill of being, of just knowing how to be one of the crowd. Look, if this is you, then to hell with them. To hell with them. You have other skills, you have other gifts. It doesn't mean you should reject everyone forever, but you are a free spirit. Look here, we have give yourself the space and freedom to express your creativity. So you are very individual. There are things that people perhaps just don't understand about you, Pile 4, and that's totally okay. You are not a regular Joe, and that is cool. You have different skills, different talents, different gifts, and you have a talent for going your own way. I think you have to permit yourself this permission, I think, to be a sort of free spirit like this horse is, because you will be able to engage with so much will come your way if you allow yourself this freedom. And do know also, Pile 4, I had another reading like this recently where if you haven't found your people, and if you feel like a bit of a weird one, know that there's plenty of other weirdos out there. And you will find them, and you will find them much more easily if you feel able to be yourself. Just because the people around you are not like you, it doesn't mean that you should change who you are. They're probably just kind of boring people. I mean, that's my feeling. But I do think that a lot of you do have creative skills and gifts. Some of you may make jewelry or use your hands in some way. You may sculpt or something like that, maybe use paper, but there's something about using your hands. If you don't, then you may want to explore something like that. There may be a bit of a hidden talent there in terms of just working with material. So, you know, it really could be anything, right? But there's something, you know, whether it's working with wood, working with metal, glass, anything like that. If that is setting off any sort of intuitive bells, then that may be something to follow. But you do have a skill and an ability to you know, when we're talking about being free-spirited, I think there's also the ability to trust yourself, which is a skill, to tune into yourself and tune out other people, but also to be alone, to enjoy your own company. It won't always feel enduring. Like some people have different thresholds for their own company, right? For some people become easily lonely, others are much more comfortable with just being solitary. And if you are that can be a kind of gift, because you're able to go within, and there's so much creativity that can come. A lot of creative fields, a lot of creative endeavors require you to be able to be alone. Like, they're not necessarily collaborative. So there may be something that you do or something that you're interested in doing, Pile 4, that just requires you to tune out the world, go your own way, And I do think that you have the ability to do that. That is a skill. The Nine of Cups. Again, I'm seeing this as a very, very creative card. The Nine of Cups is sort of thought of as the sort of wish granted card, right? It's getting what you want. It's about satisfaction. I'm seeing this as an almost like there's something here about generating. I'm just seeing this as a very creative card. I think particularly those that pick this pile, because there are different kinds of creativity that have been coming through the other piles, but here I am feeling it as more of a talent that hasn't yet come to life, or you may be aware of it or putting effort in. You may be more at a kind of apprentice stage, but you do have this ability to sort of make magic. Whatever that means to you, pile 4, whatever that looks like, whatever form it takes, you have this ability. And I do strongly think that if you have been feeling alone and disconnected, do not rule out the possibility, like I said, of finding your people and finding people that will respond to your particular kind of magic and to even want to collaborate with you in creativity. For some of you, it's all about just finding the right people that you can share parts of yourself, because this card is very self-protective. You may have showed parts of yourself and felt ridiculed, potentially bullied, things like that, and you may have just really retracted, pile 4. Know that these things, often if there's something unusual about you, right, people just don't know how to interpret it, and some people just shut down anything that they don't understand. Know that these things about you are beautiful and out of the ordinary. If you give them these things, these special gifts and talents, to the space to grow, then the very people that sort of were dismissive of them, I'm sure, will be quite envious, because there's something out of the ordinary about you, and that's perfectly all right, because why would you want to be ordinary? For the Two of Pentacles, yeah. Again, there's something here for me. It's like the ability to be alone and tune in with yourself, and to thine own self be true, and all of that. You are someone that has the capacity to see things from different ways. Like, you may be a young person, pile 4, but you do have a certain kind of perspective. You do have a strong gift of empathy, and you're able to see things, even people that perhaps haven't treated you well. You're able to see things, you're able to see their pain, and you're able to see through the superficial. It doesn't mean that you want to help those people or be close to them, but you do have that perspective, which I think can help you at times. At times you may feel, yes, I was picking up that some of you do have sort of slightly supernatural or maybe, intuitive gifts. Sometimes it's like you feel too much of other people's pain, or feel like you don't know how to shut out other people's energy and this information. But know that it is a gift. It's just learning how to have boundaries and protect yourself, and knowing how to use these things in a way that is ultimately fruitful and positive for you. But it is a gift, even if you're not seeing it that way right now. I mean, you have the ability to see magic, basically, in the world that not everyone has, and perhaps some people, have made fun of that. Pile 4, like, you have perhaps, I mean, the Knight of Cups is often has quite a romantic perspective, but with you, it's like you're able to see, it's like you're at once seeing the world as it is, but then you're seeing, some of you maybe just like a third eye thing, like you're also seeing all these layers around it. You're able to see all these layers of life at once, and it's quite magical, and it is quite a gift. The problem, I think, here, perhaps that if you're feeling a problem, is learning how to use these things. Maybe you don't know how, but if you're someone that has a great deal of empathy and understanding, it's knowing how to share that in a way that you can protect yourself and can ultimately benefit others. But know that it is an incredible gift and talent to be able to see the different dimensions of things, of the everyday world. That's a magnificent thing. Pile 4. Death, yeah. I mean, the Death card is... Again, what's coming through to me, and it won't be true for all of you that, like, pick this pile, but I was sensing initially that some of you, maybe when you were young, you had kind of supernatural experiences. Some of those experiences may be slightly, like maybe you saw ghosts or things like that. But either way, like it left you with this impression, like whatever it was, it may have been small, they may have been small things, left you with this sense of being able to understanding. It gave you the perspective that all is not what it seems, and that death is not the ending that we think. Like you have this understanding of kind of the wheel of life. You have the medicine wheel here, like that life is kind of doesn't sort of end the way we think. Like you're just, I think for those of you that pick this path, that there's perhaps just been this real struggle to kind of just like join the world with everyone else, because you have these heightened sort of psychic or intuitive gifts that you haven't known how to manage. You felt you'd have to hide them, but it's also just given you a really different perspective on life. And I'm just saying, embrace that difference, embrace those differences, find ways to protect your energy. There are ways to do that. There is sort of guidance and resources out there if you feel overwhelmed by things, but know that these things are a gift, and you have these gifts for a reason. It's no accident. Like you have the ability to sort of see beyond perhaps what the average person, sorry, I'm just knocking that, can. And see these multiple layers. It's like there's such a high sensitivity here that you have. And yeah, it's all about learning how to strengthen your relationship to it so that you can tap into these gifts that the sensitivity brings without feeling constantly overwhelmed by it. Part of that is about going your own way, allowing you to be the free spirit you are, so that other people aren't able to influence you with their nonsense and their simple-mindedness or whatever it is that they throw at you. The Four of Embers here. Interesting. I mean, this is, again, we have the Nine of Cups here with 4. This is an interesting card to have at the end of, like, you may not feel this and you may not have tapped into this. You know, we're talking about strength and talents, and this may well be a hidden talent, but you do have this ability to, there is this just interesting potential with you here, pile 4, if you are resonating and relating to this. It's like these very things that feel like they are curses are your greatest strengths. And you can say, I guess, that that's true for everyone, maybe, but there's that potential here to create gifts from our curses, right? But it's like if you perhaps were able to share these parts of yourselves with the right kinds of people, or people that were respectful and receptive and really valued your sensitivity, I think you could be a very, very powerful influence, like someone that would be able to bring a lot of magic and healing into the lives of others. There's this real untapped potential, I think, because it seems as if you've really retracted pile 4, or really tried to hide yourself, or perhaps blocked the real blooming of your essence, of who you really are, because perhaps you've been surrounded by people that weren't understanding or receptive to it. But there is this huge potential here that I'm feeling with this Four of Embers, that it's all about finding people that speak your language, and trust me, they are out there. They are out there. And then learning how to connect at a deeper level. And I think if so, like, this will bring so much joy and connection into your world. Like, that potential is really there. It's just learning to tap into your intuition with people, like who you connect with, who makes you feel good. Like if you're in the room with someone, like what do you feel in your body? Like, do you feel relaxed? Do you feel like you can share? Not closing yourself off to everyone, because there are very different kinds of people in this world, pile 4. Like, there are so many different kinds of people. So know that you will find people that really cherish and value these very, very extraordinary skills that you have, and we'll see them for what they are, which are talents and gifts. So I hope this was meaningful for you, and I hope this was helpful. It was a pleasure to read for you, pile 4, and I look forward to reading for you again. Bye. Pile 5, welcome. We are asking today all about your strengths and talents. What are your gifts, your special gifts? What do you have hidden up your sleeve? We want to know. You picked the Clare Quartz. Yeah, and of course this is a general read, so take only what resonates with you, only what makes sense with you, and the rest of it just, yeah, leave it for whoever it's meant for. So we have Thor. We have the drum. Interesting. We have Sloth. Cool. We have the Ten of Cups, the Sun. We have Moon, Sun and Moon. We have the Mystic, nice, and Five of Embers, cool. All right, so let's get into this pile 5, Thor. Huh. Ooh, this card has an interesting energy here. What are your gifts and talents? Pile 5. There's something so kind of just very shiny and magnetic about you. This has a very interesting energy. The colors are really gripping me. There's something about you, pile 5, that is just very God, I'm sorry, energy has really thrown me. I'm struggling to interpret it. There's just, I think you're someone, pile 5, that has a very, very strong presence, is very noticeable. Like, you draw people to you, people are very curious about you, people want to watch you, and people want to learn from you. You have a kind of inner glow, and people are able to pick up on it. Like, they really do. Like, even if it's just sort of, they sense it, they sense there's something different about you, but they also just sense that you have something to offer which is out of the ordinary. Some of you may be very good public speakers. There's something like that. Like, some of you may be just very good on a public platform and drawing an audience or drawing people close to you, or just people want to watch you. Some of you may be performers. We have the drum here, so of course maybe you're a great drummer. I mean, maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe you have excellent rhythm, pile 5. But there is something deeper here. Like, you're able to connect with some kind of, like, the drum. Like, there's the rhythm drum. Oh, R.I.P. Charlie Watts, Rolling Stones drummer, just passed away. Or at least he did after I don't know when I'm going to post this, but he did yesterday. Rest in peace, Charlie. Okay, so the drum. There's something about the heartbeat, like, you're somehow connected. There's just something about you, and something about the way you communicate, and things you speak on. Some of you may be people, like, perhaps you're a YouTuber that has a following. Perhaps you're just somebody that has a platform, and you use this platform to convey things. And there's something about this, the drum. It's like you connect people to almost like their own, it's like the drum, their heartbeat. Like, there's a kind of pulse, a rhythm that you're connected to, this sort of rhythm in life. Some of you, yes, may be musicians. Like, you may be very skilled musicians. But yeah, and that would make sense with this Thor card, that of being watched. There's some element of performance or entertainment here too. Like, you're skilled at that, but there's something about what you do that just draws people into you. Like, it's magnetic. Like, they want to watch you do whatever it is you do, but it also makes them feel more connected to life, to some kind of life force, which is amazing. This is amazing energy, pile 5. Sloth, digital detox. I love this card. You may be both very good at social media and very good at being a public person, but also very good at knowing what to keep to yourself and knowing when to tune out and let that stuff go. You know when to give of yourself, and when to keep things private, and you recognize the difference between public and private self too. I think this is a skill. If you do have this almost persona, public persona, you don't mistake that from yourself. It may be somewhat curated. It often is, right, on social media, but you get that. Like, you're not mistaking that or other people's ideas about you for who you really are. I think you're very, very connected to who you really are. And there is something about that your ability to do this that you're conveying in something that you're doing or communicating or some kind of creative thing. But you're also aware of projection, that a lot of people perhaps project onto you and they see perhaps what they want to in you. Some of you may be a little famous. I don't know, that would be interesting. Or you just, people know of you. So, but you're just kind of aware of an element of projection that happens with what you do, because it's like so many people are watching you. So many people have their eyes on you. So many people feel like they're connecting to you at a deeper level because of something that you do, communicate, convey, perform, something like that. But you recognize it for what it is. And you know that perhaps, yes, people do value and like what you do, but there's also a big element of projection, which is super interesting. The 10 of Cups. Yeah, I think pile 5, like, there's so much here about just like your ability to make like other people feel good, to make to generate good vibes around you, to switch other people on, to almost like, I'm not getting like a vibe of a teacher. It's not like that. It's almost like there's something that you do. There was something in another pile too about the way you embody certain ideas or certain kinds of knowledge that just like other people find it kind of amazing, but it also creates a kind of joy, or it creates a sense of connectivity around you. I mean, this is full. The 10 of Cups and the Sun are like kind of the happiest cards in the deck, right? It doesn't really get better than that in terms of just good times and joy. So there is something that you do, and maybe you don't even realize this, but you do make other people feel good. And it may be not just like you make other people happy, like maybe you do, but it's also like you make other people feel awake and alive. So yeah, so maybe you're like a musician that creates these amazing songs and make people feel like just awesome, but maybe there's just something about the way you put yourself forward. There's something about you or a skill you have to convey actually wakes people up or ignites something in them or makes them feel like their eyes are open to something. Like, and the Sun, of course, yeah, it's a joyful card, but it also speaks about clarity and illumination, putting a spotlight on things. So while I wasn't really getting a teacher vibe, there may be just something about you, something that you do that creates clarity for people and makes them see the world in a different way. And this is, I mean, yeah, we're talking about talent, like what could be better than that, really? So it's not, yeah, some of you may be drummers, musicians, but it's like, not all of you. It's just like there's something that you do that just enlightens people and maybe even awakens people. Interesting, here we have the Sun right next to the Moon, so that's there's two, you know, it's like the conscious personality and the unconscious personality, and of course that speaks a little bit to what I was saying about public persona and acknowledging the difference between who you are to yourself and how other people maybe perceive you. And I think you're not really trying to affect or influence necessarily the way people see you, because you recognize people see what they want to see and you're very connected to yourself. But there's something about this Sun Moon thing of like, you have this depth and connection to yourself, this moon, the subconscious sort of private personality, right? The moon is who we are, like in the astrological chart, at least. It's like the moon sort of represents our private, hidden, like subconscious personality. It's who we are when no one is watching, and the Sun is sort of who we are as soon as we walk out the door and there's eyes on us. We show up as our Sun. So that's obviously coming through as a distinction here. But if you have a talent here around this, it's in sort of being able to understand the difference between sort of public and private self, and also sort of conscious and unconscious things, and what you can show and what you conceal, all of that. There's something about this. It may be, I can't remember which pile it was, because there's 5 piles today, and they've all been incredibly interesting, but there was something about somebody having the ability to bridge perhaps subconscious knowledge or kind of divine knowledge to the concrete world. And I am feeling that with you as well, Pile 5. Like, you have the ability to interpret for others, but it's not in a heavy-handed way. It's not in a very... It'll be different for each of you, but there's something about bridging also just the moon and the sun, so the subconscious to the conscious, making the unseen seen. This is so interesting. I mean, we do have the Mystic card here, so some of you, yes, you may, and this is making me think of shamanic drumming, right? Shamanic drumming techniques. If you've never experienced something like that, it's so interesting because it's like the sound waves, the brain waves adapt to match the sound waves, so it can create this kind of meditative trance-like state. Some of you may be into certain mystical practices. Some of you may facilitate mystical states some way or the other, and of course music can be that way. Like, music is perhaps the most mundane way that we alter our consciousness towards something transcendent. It's just you're very, very skilled at perhaps creating these transcendent states one way or the other. This is really amazing. I'm very curious about who you are, Pile 5. I would like to know you. The Mystic. Either way, like, you're very talented and skilled at interpreting certain knowledges, or perhaps even conveying mystical states to others, or perhaps there's something about what you can convey and what you can't. You have a talent for this, of knowing what you can bring into this more mundane world, and what you perhaps shouldn't and don't need to. This is very mysterious and interesting. The Five of Embers, this is a card that can be about petty conflict, but what I'm getting here is this sort of like something fighting for something. It's like you have this extreme passion, Pile 5, and you know what's worth fighting for. There is a kind of warrior-like nature that you do have. Maybe not, you don't show it all the time, or people don't always recognize this in you, but you have the ability to fight the good fight when needs to, and it doesn't even have to, it can be something internal too. Like, there's something about self-regulation or the ability to deal with yourself. It does feel to me, Pile 5, that you're someone with a very strong self-knowledge, like this ability you have to recognize that people might project things onto you, and to know yourself. But there's something here about just being able to fight. Maybe it speaks to inner conflicts too, like the ability to just like to grow through circumstances and to know what is worth fighting for and fight for things that are worth it. This is a really interesting reading, Pile 5, because it's not, this is super interesting. Let me see if I can pick up anything else here. I mean, it's this drum card that is really calling to me. It's like it's a siren there just interrupting what I'm saying. This drum card, it's like whatever it is that you do, it's like without, for instance, maybe teaching or instructing others to do the same, you sort of show them. Like, you show them how to be almost connected to this drum, like this inner, like the life force, basically, something like that. It's really interesting, and it's really inspiring. You're very interesting people, Pile 5. That's all I really have to say. It's this is a really interesting read, and I hope it resonates. I'd love to hear from you guys. You know, if this Pile 5, if this was speaking to you, I'd love to hear from you and hear about who you are and what you're doing. Do leave me a comment below. I hope this resonated. It was a pleasure to read for you, and I look forward to reading for you the next time. Bye.